Collaborate with Flora Gaythorne Hardy, and we have been invited to be at the Bag Factory as part of a 3-month residency.
Back to existence in life. She is a strong woman. See, she feeds us with this so-called umbilical cord, but it's called gravity in all senses. When she's angry, she just open it back and sober us so we can rest in peace in our lives. She's Mother Nature. She gives back and gives.
I believe that this washing line is actually true to our practice and how we have intertwined our relationship to food, land and healing from the United Kingdom, and how my practice began working with food and how it was inspired by a particular horrific image. Easier of a culture telling us that we don't have enough good land and therefore we have to fertilize it out of existence with chemicals and kill it in order to grow food which looks beautiful but actually is of no nutritional value.
Series of conversations, people have wanted to tell us this over and over, and just today Mark came to lunch with us, said there's been a very, very big international conference and Vandana Shiva had come from India and Tony Blair had come from England, and they'd come to talk about the future of the world. And he said developmental, what the journey now needs to be, and the main thing they talked about was food and agriculture. And then last night, we were eating with a woman who's a very senior professor at WITS, and her job is to think about plant sciences, genetic engineering, reaching rural areas, and she was really inspired by the idea of working with the arts to connect with people, to connect through the heart. And so, again, it's just wherever we go, we're hearing people beginning to remember that we're living creatures, that we live, we breathe, we are of nature, and that brings in actually a real responsibility to work together.
And as soon
in
as
many
we
different
start,
ways.
Yeah, as soon as we start to respond. The bag factory is in Fordsburg, and it's called the bag factory because it made the Hessian bags in which the fruit and vegetables were housed and then went to the Market Theatre, which is not far from here. So my investigation has been with the theme of renaturing the city, and Flora and myself have invited in many different projects through inspiring people to reconnect with the living food cycle. So the living food cycle, what is the living food cycle? It's the idea that we begin to renature a city through food. Food needs to come back to the centre of the city. We need to then discover that when we made the connections, created the supply networks of bringing the food back into the city because the surrounding area is farmland again, that then having discovered where the food comes from, we also need to discover where does the food go once we have eaten it and it has left our plates. So part of the living food cycle invites an understanding that we cannot be with food unless we understand that food is a connection back to community, back to culture. Food is our connection to the soil, back to our land, back to our ancestors. That in here, so that has been, this is cow dung,
Right.
fresh female cow, which has then been buried for 6 months, and then it becomes like the most incredible humus and the best compost, which then gets mixed with water and then sprayed onto vegetables. So that's based on biodynamic agriculture, which is working with the stars and the energy of animals and the soil. So it's sort of organic and beyond. Biodynamic. So it's known as this is known as the horn, the cow horn manure. It's a preparation, and there are 6 preparations. They're done with flowers, cow horns, manure. They're done with animal insides, their stomach, the mesentery. So it's all a way of bringing human energies, animal energies, mineral energies, cosmic energies down through, in which then fertilize and feed the soil. So yes, as Billy says, these were all the different places I've gone to where I know that the soil is good. So we've got Monaghan, this is all Cradle of Humankind. This is an organic plot scheme where we were sourcing the lemons from. This was a vermicompost. This is where basically the soil is just fed, all the waste, food waste, is just fed to worms, and it becomes again this incredible rich and the most sweet smell. And that is what we've lost. Nature does its own fertilizing. We do not need any chemicals.